Hi, welcome to my January writing wrap up where I'll share all the milestones I met in January and also all the goals I have for February. And I'm going to reach for my notebook because it does have some of the stats that I do want to mention. I'm also going to put them here. So I started them up at 25,960 words, and after writing 1,955 words, which brought me to 27,915, I decided to do a rewrite. I think this was back in January 8 or 10. And then I'm currently at 5,706. Two of the milestones that I wanted to meet for January, none of them were met. One of the milestones is that this novel, the first draft of this novel, should have been finished on January 16th. We didn't meet that. This was also prior to the rewrite. And then I did the rewrite, and I wanted to write 30,000 words of this novel. I didn't do that. I only write I think, I don't know. And I'm not even 33% in. So there's also that. As far as February writing goals go, I'm I'm currently in a continued rewrite stage. I loved the book that I was writing, which I one of the things I also did it was previously called Project Sunrise. I'd also changed that to Project Downfall, and that's when I did the rewrite. I started to rewrite it, and I love the direction in which the rewrite was going. And what I realized is that when I did this last rewrite, I was still using scenes from Project Sunshine into Project Downfall, and I realized the problem wasn't with the scenes or the structure in which the story was going. The problem was with the author being me. I realized that this had all the elements that I loved about a book. It had humans, witches, vampires, and werewolves. What it didn't have is dragons, and one of the reasons why I didn't want to add dragons to my novel, even though anyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with dragons. I will watch anything with dragons. I've watched Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. I've watched Aragon. I've watched How to Train Your Dragon. I've watched one of the reasons why I love The Hobbit. One of my favorite storyline of The Hobbit was the whole scene with Smug. I have this obsession with dragons I've always had since I was a child. I one of some of my favorite non-educational games are always games with dragons. So I've had this obsession ever since I was a child with dragons, and I didn't add that to my novel because I was like, everyone is currently doing dragons, and I don't know. I didn't want to do what everyone else was doing, and then I think that kind of it stole the passion from the novel for me because this book was supposed to be about all the elements of the fantasy world that I love. I did the world building, I created dynamic characters, I created a world where witches and vampires and werewolves were living in peace. I There's a part of the story that have the whole prophecy line because I love that. I love reading a book or watching a TV show where there's this prophecy. One of the reasons why I definitely enjoyed Percy Jackson growing up as a kid. I love that. I love anything that has an oracle that the whole eyeballs rolling back in the head. I love that. And this book was supposed to be a embodiment of all the things I loved in the fantasy world, and I robbed myself of dragons because everyone else was doing it. And so I decided that this book is gonna be for the readers, but when you're writing a book, it is as much for you as it is for your future writers. And so I'm gonna do a rewrite, and I'm gonna do it the way that I originally wanted to do it. Popularity be damned, what everyone else is or is doing be damned. So I'm currently in a stage of rewriting. I've already built the world, but because dragons were not included, I'm gonna have to sit down and create a whole lore for them because I find that stuff fun. I created gods, I created religion. That part of writing is fun for me, and I'm gonna have to create a lore behind the dragons because I don't. There are things that as much as I love dragons, there are sides of dragons that they're lore to the whole being a dragon part I want to create that is specific to my world that make sense for my world. And so for February, what I want to do is I want to sit down and learn how to turn my idea into a full on book. I want to do my world building. I want to focus on a magic system that includes dragons because I do want dragons in my story to have magic separate from their whole fire breathing thing. And that's my goal for February. My goal is to sit down. I don't have a deadline, and I think one of the issues that I've been trying to write a novel in 3 months, or I've been trying to give myself these unrealistic deadlines that is only gonna affect my novel. I know they say write the first draft as quick as possible, and that's good. But also, you do want to make time to ensure that you are building a world which feels realistic, which people or readers can fall into and fall in love with. And so that's what I want to do for February. February, I'm not going to do any writing. I'm going to focus more on reading more books because I also have a passion for reading, and I am a reader. I don't just write. So I want to focus February on reading more fantasy because that's the genre that I write in, and that's one of my writing goals for this year is to read more in the genre that I write in. So I want to spend more time reading more. As a matter of fact, this is what I'm currently reading now. It's like my favorite books of all time. I've never read the book, but I've watched the movie like a million times growing up. So I do want to focus more on reading more fantasy books. I want to spend February and learn how to just turn my idea into a story. I want to work on my characters. I want to work on my world building. I want to create. I've done the bulk of the world building, but I didn't include dragons. So I want to spend the time to create a world where it is realistic for dragons to live in. I want to work on a magic system where the idea of dragons is included. That's just my goal as far as February go. If I finish doing all of that before February ends, I might do some writing, but writing the novel is not the priority for February. So that's just my January writing wrap up along with my February goals. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a comment down below, like, share, and also if you write, let me know what January was like for you, and what is one thing that you expect going into February, or it's already February. What's one thing that you expect to do or accomplish in February? So we're at the end of the video, and thank you so much again for watching. Have a wonderful year, month, week, day, hour, minute, second, and I'll see you in another video.